and I know this will be unpopular for a lot of people to hear, but the idea of forgiving student loans, it's a fantastic theory. But one thing that nobody considers who is a huge advocate of that is, okay, so somebody owns that debt. That debt is owned. So are you saying, when you say forgive, who are you saying are you saying that the government will just pay all of that debt? Do you have an idea the amount of debt that is? Somebody owns the debt. So if you go forgive the debt, to what degree? Like, are you just saying erase it? It doesn't just disappear. The debt is owned.
Right.
So when you say just pay it, who are you saying will pay it? In taxes?
Right. Everybody's going to pay it then.
Right. So the debt just doesn't get erased, is my point.
But there is a bizarre issue with student loan debt. That student loan debt is the only debt that you can't declare bankruptcy in.
Yeah, that part is...
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
That doesn't make any sense.
But when you say forgive it, it's not just... Like, I think a lot of people say that and they go, I just don't want to pay this. Yeah, of course, I understand that.
Yeah.
But you realize that somebody has to pay it. Debt it doesn't just go into the sky.
Right.
Somebody owns that debt. So who's going to pay it? If you say that the government will forgive student loans, I mean, that amount has to be in like the trillions.
Wonder what it is. Let's find out. What's the collective student loan debt in the United States as of 20?
I do know there is a differentiation in this conversation that it's federal student loan debt, not private student loan debt, which is a big difference.
Okay.
That's companies that do own that debt versus like the government that granted.
So this is just
Pell Grants
federal
and stuff like that.
Federal
I'm
student loans.
Pretty sure of that.
Okay, so there's two different types of loan debt. So I'd want to know what it is compared to the military-industrial complex budget.
Oh yeah, right. That budget is
That's a budget,
astronomical.
boy. They accidentally paid an extra $6 billion to
Americans-
Ukraine. They're like, whoops.
Whoopsie.
See this
Typo.
with this statement. I don't know if this is differentiating that either. It says it's 1.78 trillion in student loan debt
It's a lot, dude.
to the U.S.
That's more than people owe on any other type of debt in the U.S. except for mortgages, though the Biden administration is trying to forgive hundreds of billions of dollars in student loan balances. That's more than people owe on any other type of debt in the U.S. Well, except for mortgages.
But I mean, isn't that, like, you see what I'm saying? Like, if you just say, "Hey, erase
Yeah.
this debt," okay. I mean, I get it, but you do understand that has to come from somewhere.
Right.
It's not just them
It's not
going
air debt.
Yeah.
That is both. That is federal and private together.
Okay, so that's all of it.
1.75 trillion.
Click on that so we can see what it says there. It says on average. It says cost of college has steadily increased over the last 30 years. In that time frame, tuition costs at public four-year colleges grew from $4,160 to $10,740, and from $19,360 to $38,070.
It's crazy.
At private nonprofit institutions adjusted for inflation. All costs have risen. So has the need for student loans and other forms of financial aid. Imagine if you're a person that makes $100,000 a year and your kid is going to school and it costs $38,000 a year,
insane.
and then your kid gets out and they get a $50,000 a year job and you realize they're never going to pay this back.
It's insane. It's what they're doing. That's
That's what they wanted to get rid of.
It says 92% of all student debt are federal student loans. The remaining amount is private student loans.
okay. So
That's
it's a trillion.
Yeah.
It's a trillion plus.
Yeah,
That's a lot, dude.
it's a lot. And so how much have we spent on Ukraine and how much are we going to spend on Ukraine? But here's the thing. Like, if you forgave that debt, wouldn't that spark the economy? Wouldn't, like, if people have more money, the thing about when people have more money, people spend more money. When people spend more money, the economy does better. If people are straddled with student loan debt, I got to think that somehow or another cripples the economy.
I don't think you're wrong in theory about that. I mean, it would seem that, like, you'd obviously have more to do.
Yeah.
You could do more with your money.
And it's not like you're giving people money, you're just absolving them of debt.
Which is
the
a
real
huge one.
The real problem is the whole predatory student loan situation.
Yeah.
That's a real problem. And it's also a real problem to saddle down a 17-year-old with debt that they will keep for the rest of their life.
And they hit you at that same time at the student union with your first credit card, and they're like, "Just use this."
Ugh.
And it's got 29.9% APR.
Yeah.
You're like, okay,
Insane.
you don't know what the fuck you're
And
even
you need to do it
being
to build
told.
your credit.
Yeah.
I need to
I
build
gotta
my
have
credit.
this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're
I'm gonna buy a
paying
car.
You're paying $26 a month for a coffee you bought.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah, the whole thing is insane, but it's insane that we do it to kids because, kids don't have a sense of the future. They just don't. They've only been alive for 18 years. 18 years is not enough time to figure out what kind of debt you're going to be in when you're 70.
Don't you wonder too why when we're in school, and it's still not a thing when kids are in school, we don't like really teach them about money? Like you don't learn shit about money.
You don't learn shit.
I'm saying at any level, elementary school, high school.
We don't learn shit about anything you need to manage life.
No.
You're basically learning how to say words and not form sentences.
You don't learn about you don't learn about money.
Yeah.
You don't learn about nutrition.
Nope.
Nothing about that.
You don't learn about thinking.
No.
I mean, you know how many kids could be saved from a lifetime of bullshit if you just explain to them why jealousy, why it affects them?
Sure, emotions.
And explain that these are just natural human emotions that we evolve, but you have to learn how to conquer them.
And you learn how to you learn that, like, one of the most amazing, it seems like it's something you should be taught in like middle school, is feeling. Let them sit.
Yes. Yeah.
When you feel jealous,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to never feel jealous.
Right.
But you learn to go, okay, that's the feeling.
Yeah.
I'm feeling, and this is why I feel jealous about it. And guess what? All feelings, they dissipate. But they get worse, they extend when you fight them, when you resist. I don't want to feel it, and you don't want to actually process the feeling and deal with it. I mean, having that understanding that all those emotions are natural to have, it's like, it really is something that could serve you so much better to learn younger. I don't want to learn that at 40.
Right.
Teach me that at 13.
Right.
You know? Yeah, it would make high school a lot easier to deal with.
Yeah. I mean, they should teach kids the value of exercise in terms of mental health, the benefits that it has on that. You have to figure that out on your own.
Yeah.
You figure that out through trial and error, through your own life.
Totally.
Yeah, nobody's teaching, unless you're listening to podcasts, nobody's teaching you that in school.
How to think.
No one's teaching you how to think. And no one who you admire, who lives a good life, is teaching you how they do it.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing. People are real stingy with, their own personal success formulas.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one of my big, like, the litmus test for a good person. Like when I go, this is a cool motherfucker, is people who are willing to share information. It's a really, like, it's a gauge for like a solid person.
Yeah.
Is when you go like how'd you build this studio? There's the person who goes, it takes work. I had my guys. And you're like, all right. Right, that's them going like, I'm not going to tell you.
Right.
That's mine.
Exactly.
And then there's a person who's like, here's his card. Give him a call. He's awesome. It's like people who share information, whatever it is, are the people who don't have that insecurity that, like, well, if you have it, then it's no longer mine.